there are fishing trips and then there are adventures, and this is going to be a true adventure. We left the east coast of Australia this morning around a 3-hour flight into Christchurch. Now we're heading 3.5 hours west to the small fishing village of Greymouth. The target species, Pacific bluefin. To give you an idea of how big these fish are, the average range is 200 to 350 kilos. That is massive. Some of the fight times over 5 hours on 130-pound tackle with 30 kilos of drag. I've got to admit, I'm just a little bit scared. To put it in perspective, if this were track and field, today I'm going to run the marathon. I'm going fishing for tuna, but every time I drive past fresh water on the South Island, New Zealand, one word comes to mind, and that is trout. This place is the home of big rainbows and big browns. I wonder if I can change my plans. Greymouth is the largest town in the West Coast region in the South Island of New Zealand and is the base for our Pacific bluefin tuna scientific expedition. The population of the whole district is nearly 14,000, with the town located at the mouth of the Grey River. On a clear day, Mount Cook can be seen from the town, but not today. The first European to visit the site of what is now Greymouth was Thomas Brunner, an English-born surveyor and explorer. In 1846, Brunner discovered coal in the Grey Valley and named the Grey River after prominent New Zealand politician Sir George Grey. Greymouth has a history of coal and gold mining, but when they started to decline, forestry became the new staple. Fishing has long been important to the town, despite the notorious bar at the entrance to the Grey River, and it's that bar that might cause us a few problems.
Well, there's the big waves out there and one scary piece of water. It's known as the Greymouth Bar, and it's where the river here meets the sea. Now, to get out to these mighty tuna, the Cova Rose needs to cross that bar with us on board. Our skipper Tony has said it ain't happening this morning, it is just too rough and scary. The way these trips work, you actually book 4 days, and Tony picks the best 48-hour window within that 4 days when you can get offshore and chase these massive fish. I'm so excited, but remember, every time you go to a supermarket, you buy a piece of fish. There's a famous old saying from Walter Scott, it ain't fish you buying, it's fishermen's lives, and safety is the most important thing. Most days I go fishing just to get my kicks or to catch a feed, of course, but today is totally different. Dr. Stephen Brower, who is one of the principal scientists at New Zealand Fisheries, has asked me to lend them a hand, and I'm going to do it. They want me to go out there and catch some of these big Pacific bluefin and get the otoless bone, that's the ear bone, out of the head. If I can give them the samples, they can age the fish correctly, and they can also check the levels of radioactivity. But of course, my guns ain't what they used to be, so I've enlisted some help. Brent Hancock, Tackle World Port Stephens, Gary Cairns at Tackle World Canberra, they're going to help me bring these big fish back, and we're going to do our bit for science. Tough job, but I'm prepared to take a hit for the team.
G'day Paul, how are you?
Sensational, great to see you, Brent.
G'day Paul.
Are you ready for these big fish?
You're right.
We are ready. It's going to be an event.
Let's go.
Like coiled springs ready to pounce. Let's go, Skip. This is it. Filled with anticipation and nervousness as we cross the Greymouth Bar. You'll notice I'm wearing a life jacket. There's a small monument erected on the breakwall there to the many men that have lost their lives. When you cross any bar, you remember that the sea, she is boss. This is insane. Look at this. Woohoo! Ride 'em, cowboy.
Today we've left the port of Greymouth on the South Island's west coast, and we're heading out 35 to 40 miles off to mix it up amongst the New Zealand trawlers to try and catch ourselves a Pacific bluefin tuna. We're fishing in an area just north of the Hokitika Trench, which is a large sea feature here, and out on the Hoki grounds. These fish are monsters. We're averaging around the mid 200s, 270 kilo mark, most fish. Some of them are between the 300 and 400 kilo mark. We've already landed one this season that weighed in at 320 kilos, so there's some really big fish out here.
Well, if you've ever enjoyed a fillet of fish, you'll be very familiar with this guy. It's a blue grenadier, also known as a hoki, and it comes from the Hokitika Trench, or something like that. It's a big Kiwi name, and that is where we're heading. And these fish are trawled from the depths. We're using them as bait, and I'm devastated because I love a good feed of blue grenadier. There's another one for you. Love, mate. X marks the spot, and here is our giant fish attracting device. It's a Hoki trawler, and they've got a massive net down. As they trawl up the Hoki, the skipper of that boat has actually told us he's seen giant bluefin following it. So what we do, we sit right in here, we're mates, they're talking to each other, and we're going to try and throw a bait just over the net. So if there's any fish following that net, he might just come up and grab our bait, and we'll have a seriously bent rod. That's a pretty impressive ship. Look at that, they're actually throwing a bit of burley in for us as well. Arvo! The skipper of that boat there, the Sea Lord, has just told me he's picking the net up in about an hour and a half, and when the net comes up, that's your prime time to catch big fish. So we'll just go through this practice a little bit. When that net comes up, that's when everything's going to break loose. So Charlie is just feeding the bait down. We want the bait just to drift down through the current, through the water column, and keep a slack line so it looks nice and natural. If it gets bit, he'll drop it. That's when I do my thing. This is such a team effort. I've got Tony upstairs, putting us right on the spot, right near that net. Then I've got Lukey behind me, he's throwing cubes over to bring the fish in, hold them at the boat. And Charlie, he is just free spooling my line down with the bait on the end. When we get a fish, you're going to see just how this team operates and works together, so make sure you see it at home. Okay, you can see we're nearly down to the backing, which is Dacron. Got about 140 yards and 130 pound line on top of that. So now, it's time to wind it in. And the reason we're winding in and starting again, we want to have a nice natural drift, and we want to make sure our bait is right in the zone. So we bring it in, we race back over to the Hoki trawler, and we do the hokey pokey all over again. You'll notice too when I'm winding in, every now and then I do a great big crisscross like that, and that will prevent the line from digging into itself if we hook a big fish. Okay, this is the exciting part. This massive ship is pulling its net. The net at the back is full of hoki, tons and tons. And the hope is that the big bluefin will be following the net. This guy works with our skipper Tony, they're mates. So he's bringing the boat right past us, and he's going to actually bring the bag full of fish to us. We're going to drop our hoki bait right on top of it. This is when it gets very, very interesting. You see Lukey's chumming up, he's throwing some burley in. Oh, tuna! It's stuck, it's stuck, it's stuck. Look at the bag of fish on the back there. Wow, it's all our heart in the mouth stuff. Just slowly feeding a bait down the trail. Well, as you can see, the light is fading fast. We've had about 20 drops, haven't looked like catching a fish yet. But from the photos I've seen and from the stories these boys are telling me, night time is the time to catch these big tuna, and I ain't leaving this chair until I have a bent rod. Well, the hokey boat is approaching. As you can see, it's fairly dark, and we're just going to keep this same routine going. Clip in, and then the boys will throw the hokey over the side, and we'll try and drift it down the side of this big ship as she goes past. Here she comes. I'm just free spooling the reel. There she goes. And now the idea is that bait slowly sinks down, and by the time it gets to the back, which is happening very quick, it'll be about the same level as the net. And we're just going to do this again and again and again until we get a bite. That's quite funny because that ship doesn't stop moving, so we're constantly chasing our tail. Look at the size of the thing. Earlier it dragged a net up. The skipper told us he had 35 tonne of hokey in one bag. Unbelievable. That's a lot of fish fingers, isn't it, Gaz?
It certainly is. I've never seen anything like it.
Smells good too, Gaz. Have you done something special with your deodorant, have you?
I don't think so, Paul.
Oh. You can see line slowly coming off the Chagga 130 there. Charlie's just slowly feeding it down, trying to keep a loop in the line between me and the bait so it just sinks nice and naturally. If we get bit, we'll know all about it because this reel will start to spin very quickly, and then I'll just slide the lever up into strike and hang on. Just to fill you in on the picture here, 12 hours since we left port. 9 of those hours I've been sitting in this chair waiting for a bite, and this big ship here is about to bring its net up from the depths. They radioed to tell us, and we're trying to position ourselves so we can pitch a bait behind the net, because that's where the big tuna will be, feeding on anything that falls out of the bag. It's all about being in the right place at the right time. See that?
What?
Something just there.
Fish just jumped 15 metres behind the boat.
I thought I saw a seal.
Oh, it could be a seal. Where there's seals, there's tuna. It's such a waiting game. Just keep feeding the bait out, feed the bait out. It was a long cold night, 21 hours I've been sitting in this chair now and still no fish. So what we've done this morning, we've found the trawlers again, we're throwing baits into their wake. There's some free divers here and they've actually seen some big fish they've been in the water with, so fingers are still crossed.
Well, before I went to New Zealand, I heard a whole lot about these blue grenadier trawlers, and I have to say, I was a little bit scared as to what I might see, but this fishery is beautifully managed. They have a thing called a TAC, a total allowable catch, and that TAC is monitored every year. The fishery is so sustainable that the TAC has actually increased over the past few years, allowing pro fishermen to take more fish without damaging the environment at all. It is so pleasing to see such a well-managed fishery in action.
We're well into day 2 in our quest for the giant Pacific bluefin tuna. As you can see, the weather is just sensational. I've had a shower, almost a change of clothes, cup of tea, and we're just hoping that the next bait we present will be the one that gets scoffed. How beautiful is this? Just drifting along trying to find a tuna, and the biggest pod of dolphins you can imagine has swum through, and they are everywhere. They're as far as you can see down, as far as you can see out. There's a few little tiny baby ones that are jumping all over the joint. That's one of the great things about coming out in the ocean. You see things you would never ever see anywhere else. How good is this? Well, as you can see, the sun is about to set on day 2 of our journey. We're getting a bait in behind this big trawler here, the Ocean Dawn, and we really have a good feeling about tonight. We reckon it's going to happen. We're going to work hard. We're going to work till 6 o'clock in the morning if we have to, because I'm not getting out of this chair. So the games continue. I think this is about the 479th time that we've pitched a bait at one of these massive trawlers. This is the Rua, and she hasn't got a net out at present. She's just going along. They've actually got a factory ship inside there, and we think they can process around a tonne of hokey fillets an hour. They've actually got a machine on board that fillets the fish for them. There's 45 crew, and a short trip is 4 weeks at sea. What an incredible machine. 9 p.m, night 2. One of these big trawlers is about to bring its net up, and with it, please let there be some big fish.
You're right, Paul, lean back, mate. Get the body weight, get heaps into it. Get the rod tip up, load that fish up.
We've actually marked this fish on the sounder. Just don't need the chair, turn that way, boys. Turn the chair. We actually marked this fish on the sounder. Dropped a bait down to him, and he nailed it. 36 hours into our battle. Our battle to hook a fish, that is. And what I'm doing here is using my body weight to try and put pressure on the fish, and he's actually lifting me out of the chair. That is 130-pound line with a whole lot of drag on it, and he's just doing what he wants to do. What do you reckon, mate?
Mate, we've been out here for 36 hours. It's hard to tell, but I'm hoping it's one of those big tuna, mate.
So am I, my friend, so am I. There's a lot of weight there.
There is a lot of weight. Those 2 big screaming runs.
When I pushed the lever up, he nearly pulled me out of the chair.
Yeah.
And I counted to 5 like I said I would. The only problem was I went, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5!
The adrenaline kicked in, mate.
It did. When you sit there for 36 hours waiting for a bite, you tend to count pretty quick. I'll have to remember if I ever get the chance again, it's 1 cat and dog, 2 cat and dog. And I'm just keeping nice even pressure here. The drag's set beautifully, so if he wants to go, he can. Whoa. He's just hanging there. It's amazing to think a fish can actually hurt you on this gear. Like, it's the biggest production reel made anywhere in the world. Chagger 130, a 60-kilo chair rod, again, a T-curve, 130-pound line, and he's dictating turns. It's a real stalemate. I ain't getting a lot on him, and he's not getting a lot on me. He can't be far away either, can he?
Mate, no, I've got a lot of line back on the reel. It's just...
And Tony's actually skippering the boat just above our heads. You can see all the action. Very important to keep the line in the right-hand corner here. He's actually driving back on this fish. When I notice the bend in the rod decreases, this fish is coming up a bit now, look at that.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting, mate. Be good just to get a look, mate. Jeez, he's up on top there somewhere, mate.
Yeah, more left again, mate. It must be your angle.
Yeah.
That's straight now.
Got the leader just in front of us, buddy.
I can see it.
Is it colour?
The tuna?
I've got colour now, guys. He's a good looking fish.
I think Tony was right, mate. It's playing with us.
It is.
Hey, Worsland, wind on that reel. Would you let's get this fishing tonight?
Well, we have a positive ID of a tuna. That's a good start. And you say it's not a big one, boys?
Giddy up.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah, put that left hand on top of the reel, mate.
Bit left, bit left.
You have it straight enough and bring it around.
That's it, beautiful. And the fish we believe is Tunis orientalis, or something of that Latin nature, basically Pacific bluefin tuna. And Brent, they're pretty special fish, aren't they?
Mate, they are very special. We've come a long way and we've fished really, really hard. It's been probably one of the longest 36 hours I've ever had in my fishing career. So,
But
mate, I'm glad to see we've finally got a fish
we've
on.
hooked a fish. And it's really important for all the kids watching, because their dads and mums come up to you all the time and say, Paul, do you always catch fish? No, we don't. But I tell you what, Brent, we give it a fair crack and we never give up, do we?
No, mate, that's the key to fishing, and that's why we call it fishing, because we're out here fishing. Catching is definitely a bonus, and mate, I'm glad we got the hook up.
Yeah, it's always good. And Gaz, if we are lucky enough to land this fish, it'll basically be the culmination of 7 days of work, won't it, from we left home?
Yep, and persistence.
Absolutely. You just can never, ever give in, whether it's a fish or anything in life. Look at that, he's actually lifted me out of the chair.
Power.
I'll be taking this jacket off very soon, that'll give you the tip.
Here you go.
Thank you, my friend.
Good luck.
That was Charlie, one of our great deckies. Luke is the other. Now, if you saw the half hour of preparation these boys put into this bait, you'd understand why I appreciate what they've done so much. They got a normal old hokey fillet, those blue grenadier. They cut it in half. They poked it with polystyrene until it sunk at exactly a metre per second, because we've got no drift tonight. So the boys have got that bait just to slowly sink down. The minute they put it in the water, it got 10, 20 yards from the boat and got eaten. So just goes to show, fishing in life, the little things make a big difference. And they're incredible fish, the old tuna. They're endothermic, which means they have the ability to raise their own body temperature above the surrounding water temperature. And this is what enables them to come to these areas and feed on all these hokey and other fish when the water temperature is only 14.4 degrees. Very, very clever fish. And that's why they're so tough. Last fish I caught on 130 in a chair was that beautiful 1,000 pound plus black marlin with Timmy Dean aboard Calypso off Cooktown. I was on the fish for an hour, and when I got off that fish, I nearly threw up. The pain it put me through was intense. There's our fish!
There's the leader. Nothing got a clean to the lane.
Gotta get the tag pole, mate.
Yeah, grab the tag while Brett and Gary can steer. A bit left. Bit left, bit left. We're well over an hour into this fight now, and the fish has settled in, and so have I. It's a bit like a big game of AFL or rugby, the grand final. The first 5 minutes is left. Everyone's just doing crazy stuff. They're that excited to get the ball, the adrenaline kicks in. Now the fish has settled down, I've settled, and the whole crew is just waiting for the opportunity to try and get a tag in this fish. We're going to tag the fish because that's a great thing for research. If it gets away, then we've done our job. In the perfect world, we'll tag the fish, I'll be able to get it back to the boat, we'll bring it on board, and we'll collect the samples we need. So if we can get a tag in, either way, it's a win-win situation. Got a bit of a problem here with us. Blue sharks just swum to the back of the boat, and they've got skin like sandpaper. If they touch my line, it's all over. So Brent's just going to try and give him a bit of a nudge at the back of the gaff to scare him away. It's the last thing we want at this stage of a fight.
I think he just saw you, Paul, and took off.
I've got back down to low gear, so you'll see I'm getting tiny little winds, a bit to the right. But in high gear, I couldn't turn the handle at all. That's a little bit of swell we use there. Doing good, mate. Bit more to the right, that's it. Is that the skin off our bait?
Yes, mate. Short pumps, mate, they're nearly in the leader. Short pumps, Paul. Nearly there, mate. Watch the dacron. Don't touch the dacron. Where is he, boys? There he is.
Take your time, boys. I'm just picking up the leader. Nice and gentle, get that tag in when we can. We want to make sure this fish does what it's got to do. Such tense moments, I just want to get a tag in this fish.
Beautiful fish. Coming up. Not far. Trying to go up a bit.
You got to dump him, just dump him. I've got the drag back, right back, fellas.
Ready?
Yep.
Tags in.
Give me the gaff.
Okay, grab the gaff, grab the gaff. If we can hold him, we'll hold him, do it all straight away. Get the gaff, Brent, in the head.
Yeah, gaff's in. Let go, we're going.
Yep, you're right.
Just hold him there. Take your time, boys, just hold him.
Careful, let's go.
We can't damage the head, it needs to be perfect for these bones. Take your time in the mouth. Take your time, boys.
Now through the lower boat. We've got him. That's the way.
This is amazing. I haven't even seen the fish yet, but I'm assuming it's a pretty big tuna. We're going to drag the fish on board, we're going to take its life humanely, and then we're going to get back to port. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 guys trying to land a fish. I'll just back my leader off.
It's a flying gap.
I want to see this fish.
Can't see. Everyone grab some rope. Everyone work together. There's a call. Somebody.
Ready?
1, 2, 3. Up.
Oh my God.
Keep going.
Oh my God, look at the size of this fish. Look at it. Oh. It's a fishing and rod like a cowboy.
Congratulations! Yeah!
Look at that! Holy snapping tuna! That is insane. You know the best thing? It's a big fish. It's exactly the size of the fish that our scientists wanted. You've seen a lot of these fish. Thank you, my friend Charlie. Look how fat it is. This is exactly what they were looking for. Brent, do you ever think you'd see a fish that big?
Mate, I had to keep my composure and start the gaffing because I knew how big it was. And when I started gaffing, mate, especially a fixed head, I'm buggered just after that 2 minutes of stuff.
What an incredible fish. I cannot, it's just like the biggest fish I've ever seen in my life. What we're going to do, we're going to clean up the mess, get everything sorted, then I'm going to tell you a little bit about this incredible bluefin tuna. I just can't believe it, I'm in shock. We've all settled down, I've grabbed the old Swivel's original fish measure out,
It is 107 inches long. The calculation on Tony's app, that's the skipper, he's telling me this fish is around 303 kilos, just mind-blowing. We're going to race back to port at first light. We're going to get this fish straight to the scientist so we can take the ear bone out. He'll be able to tell us the age. I believe it's probably around 15 years, and also whether there's any radiation. What an incredible night. Cova Rose Charters, you've rocked my world, and I will be back because this is the fish of a lifetime. Well, we've finally managed to get the fish ashore. I'm with Michael O'Driscoll from NIWA. Can I ask, what is NIWA?
The National Institute of Water and Atmospheric Research.
That means he's a scientist, which is pretty cool. Now, you got some tools here. We're going to try and get the odorless bone out, and why is that so important for your research?
They use it to age the fish, and also there might be some radioactivity, put a marker in the odorless bone so they can date that point in time from when it happened to when recapture.
And that will tell us whether this fish has travelled to Japan and come back or whether it's a resident fish.
I'm just going to cut into the skull and see how, cut a piece out and see what sort of bone we're dealing with, because I have no idea what we're going to strike.
Yep. So we've got bone there just under the surface.
Just underneath the brain, it should just be in here. Oh wow.
That's it.
Wow.
That's it.
I've never pulled one out that fast, and let alone on a bluefin.
That is amazing. I'm just going to grab him. That is what all the fuss is about. What exactly is it?
That's the odorless bone. It's actually got growth rings on here. Usually you see it with a microscope, and it'll be able to determine the age of the fish.
So from such a massive fish, this tiny little bit of bone can tell us so much. That is just mind-blowing. Mate, I cannot wait until you get back to me with some data. Just check it out, Ifish Tackle Well Facebook page. I'll get it up there. There's another one in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Let's try and get that sucker, and then you're going to take a fin for DNA as well.
Too right. Yep.
Mate, thank you so much. This is what this whole mission was about, this tiny little bit of bone, and I'm very, very excited. The scientist has done his work. The official weights and measures are in. We're about 10% out last night, their estimation. That fish weighed just on 600 pounds. And Gaz, you've seen a lot of big fish. How does that rate?
Well, tick the box, put it that way.
There's a fair way of putting it. And Brent, a year we planned this trip. Was it worth it when you saw that beast come over the side?
Mate, every second it was worth it. I just remember seeing that fish coming up in the leader, looking back at you, and I was speechless.
And just for once, I was speechless too. As I said, a year in the making. Get onto Cova Rose Charters. 18 days a year they do this, and you two could be staying next to one great big tunnus.